Ugh.
This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Potsy and TIno on the Potsy and TIno Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Potsy Fans Network brings to you its tag team champions of the world, running on little to no sleep, the Potsy and TIno Show. That's right. Our theme song is always brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Rascals, on iTunes for 99 cents. As you saw, you know how to subscribe to the show. And we will put the ticker up in just a little bit so that you can subscribe to all the different ways to get the Potsy and TIno Show. But before we do that, TIno, obviously, we are running on very low sleep, but we normally start with what's up with you, but I did want to start with something else tonight, if you don't mind. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put up there we go. And it's remembering Ole Anderson and Mike Virgil Jones. I think it's a pretty cool graphic that I created for it. But the fact is that these two guys both had very different impacts on the industry. And obviously I want to give our 10-second, silent salute. But did you have anything that you wanted to say about these two gentlemen when it comes to professional wrestling?
I think only, like I said, so growing up in the South, in the Carolinas, coming up when I was setting the clock, growing up in the South, NWA. So I saw a lot of Ole and Arn and Tully, and when Ole came through with Arn, they were Ole and his original partner with the Minnesota Gene Anderson. They were the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. So like I said, he was part of my childhood. You know what I'm saying? So he will be missed. Not always agree with things. I've heard of things of him backstage. I heard he was a hard ass and he could be tough at times, but it's still sad when anybody leaves and goes on. So he'll be missed. And Virgil, man, I just remember the $1 Million Man and him carrying around the $1 Million belt. And then when they split, and then I'm like, are they gonna push Virgil? Nah, he's just gonna be a glorified jobber. I thought they were actually gonna push him.
He got a push, and then it went away.
And then he went to WCW and became the NWO lackey.
Yes, so and then he became Soul Train Jones in AEW later on in his career when he became part of the Jericho crew. I do want to point out, when it comes to Virgil, like, he was side by side with the $1 Million Man. The $1 Million Man kept running his mouth about him and talking shit and doing all this, doing all that. And finally he stood up to him and he won the $1 Million belt off of $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. And
yes.
and I'll tell you, man, like, it in the 80s was one of the high points of professional wrestling to me, because here you saw a guy who was basically a slave beating the $1 Million white man. And like, it was just one of those crazy moments to me. So with Ole Anderson, I really, because I was a Northern wrestling fan, I never really got introduced to Ole Anderson. So you, obviously being a Southern wrestling fan, you got introduced to him. He was part of the NWA, part of all that.
And Chris Barrett, I agree. I've heard that too. So yes, that was the word behind the scenes, that he was very racist and abusive and manipulative. So there you go. Yeah, like I said,
well, then it makes a lot of sense that we're giving both of them their flowers at the exact same time, because fuck the racists out there, And let's just go ahead and say that these two guys both trailblazed in different directions. And I mean, I just recently, I was telling you, Tino, on our way to Greensboro yesterday, that there was a video that I saw of Ole Anderson, and he was basically just trashing the guy for not like saying, well, who was the promoter at that point? And he's like, Ted Turner was the promoter. And he's like, no, Ted Turner was never a promoter. Ted Turner was the owner. And he's like, so he was your boss. So why are you giving me shit about this? And there was a whole like thing about it. And Ole Anderson's just like, you know, he's just an ornery old fuck at that point, you know. And unfortunately, the industry's full, guys. But then, as we saw yesterday when we were at AEW, there are a bunch of them that are not ornery old fucks anymore. You know, like there are people that want to be there for this guy's last match, that guy's last match, this, you know, this, that, whatever. So, but we do, because both of these men meant something special to the industry. Like I said, Virgil probably being like the first WWE black man to overcome the adversity of, you know, the I mean, I have to say it, as a $1 Million Man, white supremacist. If you know, like that's kind of what he felt like when it came to Virgil. You know what I mean? So, and then Ole Anderson, obviously one of the founders of the Four Horsemen, everything else. Like these two guys were super special to the wrestling industry in their own way. And yes, Chris Barrett, not always in a good way, but for the most part, they put seats in, you know, put butts in seats, right?
Mm.
So we're not going to look at the negative. We're just going to sit there and appreciate who and what the influence going forward. And Tino, you got a clock?
Yes, I do. Here we go. I just had it.
All
right. Here we go. Ready?
We're both of these gentlemen at the same time. They're 10 seconds of silence.
Yep, that's good.
And maybe one of these days I'll actually do a 10 bell salute for all of these old school wrestling gods and monsters. But for now, you know, I wanted to create a little graphic and everything for the show and do that. I have one more graphic that I want to put up, Tino, and then we can start our show like we normally do if you're cool with that. Because I think this one is one of the most important ones to me in terms of how long I've been watching wrestling. Okay. And you notice I'm not taking a lot of time with these. That was literally a minute. So here we go. There's your graphic. Paul Heyman, first announcement for the WWE Hall of Fame this year. And I'm sure during Monday Night Raw tonight, they're going to do the entire video package. But I thought I found a pretty good image and thing for it. Tino, I want your opinion on this. Like Paul Heyman, WWE Hall of Fame, and let's talk about the career and everything else.
I almost think usually though, definitely well deserved Hall of Fame, but usually I thought they waited till they were done with their career. I mean, he's still hot. You know what I mean? So so I figured they might do it towards the end of his career. Why? I wonder why now.
So can I stop you there real quick? Rey Mysterio is still wrestling in the WWE.
Yeah, that's why. And that's another one. I mean, why are we still wrestling? I thought they only did that after you were done, and then you went in the Hall of Fame.
Who's in charge of it now?
Triple H.
There you go. It's very different than when Vince McMahon was the ultimate say on this stuff. Because it was it was last year that Rey Mysterio went in, wasn't it, or was it the
I
year
think
before?
so.
No, it was last year because he had the match against Dominic Mysterio on night WrestleMania. Yeah. So this and the
And like I said,
lead.
I'm not taking away from him. I'm just wondering if it's too soon. You know what I'm saying? Because he's still so active and so.
Hold on. It's not too soon. This guy's had a 40-year career.
That's true too. But he's still hot. No, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I love about it. Because what if Cody Rhodes sits there and just randomly storyline wise sits there and says, well, how about we sweeten the pot even more? How about Paul Heyman has to give up his Hall of Fame induction if I beat the Bloodline on night one of WrestleMania? You know,
I don't think I'll do that.
something. But well, I've always said, you know, like why didn't Roman Reigns sit there and say, if Edge wants to face me at WrestleMania while I've been the champion for 2 years, getting ready to have this historic run continuing, why doesn't Edge have to put up something as well? Why doesn't he put up his Hall of Fame? You know, because then all of a sudden you actually think Edge really does have a chance of winning, because why would they ever take away his Hall of Fame? And by the way, they never take it away. Let's be real, right? But like WrestleMania, Philadelphia, it just fucking makes sense. It's EC and W, man. Like,
That's probably why they're doing it.
they've got, yeah. The question is, who inducts Paul Heyman, and does the WWE shut him up?
I would say CM Punk inducts Paul Heyman.
Well, that's a good one.
Or Brock. Well, probably not Brock. He's too hot right now. He's yeah.
No.
Probably CM. I would say CM Punk.
You know what? I didn't even think about CM Punk. CM Punk's actually a really good choice. The only other one that I think might would be Stone Cold Steve Austin, because he was part of the Dangerous Alliance.
Better. I think you can go back. You can do Dudley's or Tommy Dreamer too.
Well, and so I don't think we're done with the Philadelphia inductions, because I think Tommy Dreamer is going in the WWE Hall of Fame this year.
Well, Dusty Rhodes couldn't induct Paul. That'd be a problem.
I'm sorry. I told you I was going to keep an eye on the chat for you, Tino.
No, that one got me. That one's like, I don't think Dusty will be there.
I do think Tommy Dreamer would be a good choice, especially because Tommy Dreamer can't keep the tears back. He will sit there and be a fountain of tears, sitting there talking about.
But do you think they induct Tommy too?
They should.
So if they induct Tommy, do you really? I don't know if they induct Tommy. I don't know if he should put Paul in.
That's what I'm saying. I would not.
Okay.
But CM Punk would be really good for Paul Heyman. Bubba Ray would be really good for Tommy Dreamer. I'm a Busted Open fan. They're both hosts on that show. They've actually been saying some really interesting stuff recently about different things going on. I'm really interested to see what they say about the Paul Heyman induction, because they're going to ask Tommy Dreamer if he's been asked to be the inductor. But I think CM Punk is probably the most likely, because they like the voice of the voiceless being part of stuff like that. So that was a really good call, Tino. I'm happy with that statement. But let's look at real quick. Let's try to look at the career of Paul Heyman. You're talking about a guy who got his start by being a kid that would take photos for Vince McMahon Sr.
All right.
Then he wiggled his way into the booking room with Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, because he went WCW.
And Dusty Rhodes was like, "What the hell are you doing here, kid?" And he's like, I'm trying to learn from the best. He's like, well, then you better get a cloth of feet, because you can't go sitting in the back and get all the information. You gotta fit closer. Like so all of a sudden he's sitting next to Dusty Rhodes in booking meetings at like what, 17, 18 years old. Then he literally becomes a manager at WCW, NWA, whatever you want to call it at that point. Starts
I think
arguably.
I think my favorite story when he first started managing and Dusty put him out on screen and told him, "You need to sell it, baby." So he just put him out there, and Heyman just goes out there for like 3 minutes, just rambles. He's like, "Ah, I was sweating and I thought I did a good job." And he came back and Dusty's like, "Where's the money, baby?"
Baby, where's the money?
So
Yeah,
I thought that was
I every time I hear that story, like I get chills thinking like you like, because I heard us, and I sent you a TikTok today of Will Sasso sitting there saying when he was on Chris Van Vliet, and Chris Van Vliet's like, so have you ever met anybody backstage? And he's like, Paul Heyman said to me, he goes, if you get scared, and he's like, you do a Paul Heyman impression. He's like, of course I do a Paul Heyman impression. Everybody does a Paul Heyman impression. He's like, if you get scared backstage, Rick Rude once told me what you do is you imagine there's a pencil between your butt cheeks and you squeeze until you actually snap it in half. And Will Sasso, the guy from Mad TV, sat there and he's like, well, when I got that advice from Paul Heyman, like, I immediately started thinking, if I ever need to be like a legitimate actor, that's what I need to do, because Rick Rude told him to do that. I might have said Ric Flair, but it was Rick Rude that actually said to do that. And it wouldn't surprise me if Paul Heyman actually was scared at one point, and Rick Rude said, Paulie, all you got to do is think about a pencil stuck between your butt cheeks, and you're just trying to crack that thing in half. Like, like it's just crazy. But he created the Dangerous Alliance, which included Medusa, included Shane Douglas, included Rick Rude, included Steve Austin. I mean, like, how is the Dangerous Alliance not in the WWE Hall of Fame right now, considering how amazing the wrestlers involved with that group? 3 of the 4 that I just mentioned are in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Pretty crazy. Obviously, he created ECW shortly after that. Took it from was it Danny Doring that he took it from?
No,
No.
it was
Um,
I can't think of that guy's name. I can see his face.
Actually, it's the guy that started Ring of Honor. I can't think of his name right now. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a complete blank on it. But took it from Eastern Championship. Todd Gordon. There you go. Todd Gordon was,
Yes.
thank you, Barrett. Todd Gordon was the creator of Eastern Championship Wrestling. He brought Paulie in to be, back then he was called Paulie Dangerously. Brought him in to be the head of booking for the show. They immediately had Shane Douglas take the Eastern Championship Wrestling title, throw it in the trash, and say, we're not Eastern Championship Wrestling anymore. We're Extreme Championship Wrestling. And immediately it became crazy. TIno,
Outlaw.
it became outlawed, yeah. But let me ask you this. Did you ever get to go to an ECW show? I went to one. It was in Wildwood, New Jersey, at the boardwalk. So it was fucking crazy. Was it Chris
It's
Perry?
Yeah,
It,
it was the NWA title because that's when he went off about Ric Flair and he's saying how this is a piece of shit title, and that's why he took the EC. He said this is the world title. It was the NWA title he threw in the garbage. Barrett's right.
okay, I appreciate you. I appreciate both of you actually correcting me on that. I thought it was the Eastern Championship
Mm-mm.
Wrestling.
It was the NWA title. Remember, because he had a problem with Flair. He was that's when he started talking shit about Ric Flair and threw it on the ground.
I thought Shane Douglas had gotten fired by the NWA.
Mm-mm.
That's
Mm-mm.
why. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Lillian Garcia needs to be in the Hall. Yeah, I think Lillian Garcia needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I'll give you that, Michael Turner. Mickey James, definitely. Victoria, absolutely. Victoria's a friend of mine. I think that Lisa Marie Varon definitely needs to be in there. But we're talking about Paul Heyman right now. Paul then took his career, and when ECW was bought by WWE, and I know I'm really, cutting corners here talking about this. When it was bought by WWE, he was put in charge of SmackDown and had multiple fights with backstage people because it was him and Stephanie McMahon running SmackDown. And I remember him talking about the fact that when it came to The Rock versus Brock at SummerSlam, I think 2002, they wanted Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler to do the commentary for that match, and Paul Heyman vehemently went against that theory and said, "I need it to be Michael
Joey
Cole
Styles.
or Joey Styles and Taz because they were the SmackDown announcers at that time." Sorry, I forgot that. Like I was thinking Jim Ross and Michael Cole, but yes, it was Joey Styles and Paul Heyman basically staked his entire thing on it. He's like, if this is a SmackDown main event, it needs to have the SmackDown announcers, and I don't give a shit what you do with me, but you're gonna have the SmackDown. And shortly after, he was fired.
Mm-hmm.
Because while he made the right decision, had announcers announce that match, Paul Heyman was a tough pill to swallow sometimes back then. And when Brock Lesnar came back into the fold in what, 2012?
Yeah, some of that.
Around 2012, they brought Paul Heyman back because they knew, hey, we only get 30 appearances by Brock Lesnar a year. Let's bring back a guy that can actually draw money. And since that moment, they've tried to do it a couple times. They tried to do it with Claudio Castagnoli when Cesaro. They tried to do it with McCullough when he became Curtis Axel. They tried to do it even with CM Punk. But there's been only two guys that have really been truly elevated to that superstar above superstar status, if you ask me. And quite honestly, it was Brock Lesnar and now Roman Reigns.
Hmm.
Like I like the CM Punk reign, but it really was both of them just riffing off each other, and it wasn't the same kind of thing of elevation. Make sense?
Makes sense.
So, and now, after almost 40 years in the industry, if not more than 40 years in the industry, I don't remember exactly when Paul Heyman started. He's not only getting his flowers, but he's getting the rightful spot as being the first announced Hall of Famer this year. And so I'm done with that, Tino. I'm sorry it took longer than I wanted it to.
All right.
Luckily, some of the other stuff.
Excuse me. Yeah.
So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and put our ticker up there. I'm going to go ahead and put the regular banner up there. What's up with you?
Like I said, not a whole lot tired. I got Hickory this week, this Saturday. I'll be going out of town. Other than that, I am running on about 3 hours of sleep, so I am very, very exhausted. And just, just we had it was fun last night, so we'll get into it. We'll get into it, but that's pretty much it. Nothing really exciting. We went to the show last night. Had a good time. I got Hickory coming this week. That's pretty much what's up with me.
I'll tell you what we'll do tonight is we will literally talk about the what's up with you, which mine is I did a signing last Saturday, did a signing Wednesday. They both went great. I did one, I'm sorry, Wednesday, then Saturday. So yeah, did 2 signings, had a great time. Signing the copies of Zora, everything's going well with that. Sent in the first issue of Immortal for everybody. It's already been edited, lettered, everything else. Got a couple more pages of Stonkered #1. Expecting to see some stuff from Zora #3, which obviously is the final issue. And that's where I am. Not too much else going on. You might notice cut my hair today.
I saw that and on the Facebook. What happened? What were you trying to do?
Okay. I was just trying to cut my hair. I cut the sides up and I started looking at like the stuff that I still had going on, right? And I was like, all right, it looks okay. Let's trim it a little bit. And as soon as I did that, I didn't use scissors to do it. I did it with my clipper and it cut it too short. And suddenly I looked like the first Cabbage Patch Kid that just had like the little. I popped you so hard.
It's a Cabbage Patch Kid.
I mean, it lit like I almost took a picture of it so that I could send it to you, and you'd be like, "You know what you look like? You look like a fucking Cabbage Patch Kid." And
that's fucking hilarious.
Didn't do it. So I just got back from a place that I like hanging out at, and of course, one of them sat there and said I look like an egg now. So I was that like I kept telling them they were upset at me because I don't like that, and I don't look like an egg. I've got a full beard. And this is what I look like for how many years did I look like this, Tino?
Yeah.
15 years?
Yeah. God.
So the only weird thing to me about it is when I go like this, I don't feel the hair anymore.
But that's not shaved. That's still buzzed.
Yes. I did not bick it. I didn't do anything like that. And you can feel that there is hair up there. Now, granted, in a month, I'll have the little comb thing that I got, going on that I always had. Like my sister actually said to me, why are you growing a mohawk? Because I cut it up so close on the one side. I was like, it's not a mohawk. And she's like, yes, it is. And I'm like, no, because I'm combing it off to the
side. And Michael Turner. Look at Michael Turner. Michael Turner. Did you see Michael Turner?
I did not. Rob, oh my God.
I think part of it is.
I've got to tell you, I don't think I've ever seen Tino this tickled by anything.
It's the 3 hours of sleep. I think I'm just punchy.
Oh, you're definitely punchy. But and by the way, it is funny because I sit there and I'm going like this, and I'm like, now I just feel that feel, like.
Oh, that's perfect, Michael. That's what Chris Barrett said.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
So that's what's up with us. I'm bald again. Someone actually asked me, they're like, St. Baldrick's? And I was like, no, it wasn't long enough yet. That's all I said. I didn't say anything else.
Not ashamed. Because I think as long as I probably started shaving my head before I even met you. And the reason why is because I used to have hair, dude. I was in college. No, in college, man, I had braids. And so I just put them in a ponytail. I had hair and then I would cut it. And then one time I said, back when everybody started shaving their heads, I'm like, I'm gonna shave my head. I think I'd look cool. And I did. And that's when I got the piercings and I had the bald head. I'm like, you know what? I want to try to get my braids back. So I started growing the hair. And then when I did,
did you look like the Predator? Did
all
you look
this
like a
was
predator?
no, I didn't. No, I didn't even grow the braids back because I was like, well, where did all this go? It started. My hairline started here, and then I had the damn Hanukkah thing on the top of my head, so I never grew it back. I just said, fuck this. I just kept shaving it.
So you had a cul-de-sac.
I never grew the hair back. Once I started growing it back.
You had the cul-de-sac, where like here, and then you would grow it like here.
No, I had hair, but it's just a little bald patch right there, and I'm like, nope. It started coming. It's going to be like the damn George. It's going to look like George Jefferson. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Because I sat there and I was like, yeah, like part of the reason why I shaved my head for so long was because I had these bald spots, and Lexi, one of my friends, was like, well, that's not too bad, and then she looked at the top of my head, she goes, oh yeah, and I was like, yeah. I got like these 3 different cul-de-sacs going on up here, and she just goes, cul-de-sac.
So the new thing that I get now, and I just get it from like who said? I think it was my barber that said it, and Matthew was there, and he thinks it's the funniest thing. So I shave my head now, right? I shave the head. Right. I got the beard. I take the glasses off. They're like, "You look like Uncle Phil." I'm like, "Fuck you and fuck you too."
How does your son even know who Uncle Phil is?
The barber said it, and Matthew watches Fresh Prince.
Okay.
So yeah, he's like, "You like Uncle Phil?" I'm like,
so I don't know if I sent you a picture of it, but I started designing a new T-shirt for the show, and me making myself bald again makes it better for me because it makes those emojis that we had actually work.
Oh yeah,
but you got that full beard now, and I was like, well, that won't work for him. But I had one of me sitting there with like the scrawlix across my mouth and me going,
yeah,
like this. And you being
that was the Rob's rant.
Yeah. But it was said the Potsy and TIno show, and it had the 2 of us sitting next to each other. But yours was like, but it was just the mustache, and it was the full black mustache. I was like, we need a new one of him. So
I went back into, because ladies and gentlemen, I got it off the iPhone. That's how I did. So I did one for me, the emoji for me on my phone, and I did one for Rob, and I sent them to him. So I went back into one on the phone. I can't find anything with the gray beard or anything. I'm like, damn it! So I had to use your artistic skill and make you have to do something.
Well, I'll be honest with you. You can get one with the white beard, and you send it to me. I can add the little bit of gray.
I can't even find anything with the white beard at all. Oh, I know.
Your beard is white. I mean, you're looking. I got to be honest. If you looked more Samoan, you'd look like Haku.
Oh damn!
The video that you sent me the other day.
Was that not funny?
Haku there laughing at the Shockmaster entrance.
Dude, him laughing like that had me laughing. I was laughing at him laughing because he was like, that was like the funniest thing he's ever seen.
He's not a guy you laugh at.
No, and that's not a guy I would think would laugh like that. And that video was like 5 minutes of just him laughing, and that's what was so. That's why I sent it to you. That's what was so funny. I mean, he was wiping his eyes, crying, and so you guys don't know what we're talking about. It's a TikTok where somebody was interviewing Haku, and they were like, hey, did you ever see the debut of the Shockmaster? And that was, what was it, Tugboat back in WCW? And he was supposed to be busting through a wall, and a silver helmet came off. And he hit the wall, and then Haku's like, and then the gimmick came out.
And then he's looking like a blind man for his gimmick.
He's like, and then I think he said, he goes, Fred, I still love you, but Oh my God, that was the funniest TikTok. That's why I sent it to you. I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
The only thing that might be funnier to me was the Edge and Christian show of awesomeness where they brought Fred back to try to fix the gimmick. but I mean, that shit was awesome. So, all right, TIno. I told you I wasn't going to take too long with what's up with me. I don't think I did.
No, I think we should probably I think the bulk of this show, because we were in Greensboro so damn long, I think this show should just majority be the pay-per-view we saw.
Well, you're right, but I do want to point out that we were in Greensboro only about as long as The Rock's promo on SmackDown.
What do you mean? Oh,
Well,
the first 30 minutes of SmackDown.
like I said, we were in Greensboro for about as long as The Rock gave his promo in Glendale, Arizona.
One thing I do want to say about that promo
Well,
is when. Well, go ahead.
well, no. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you actually say what you want, but start there and then just focus on the pay-per-view.
The only thing, the big thing that I got from that was you, you we now know that The Rock is going to turn on that some bitch because when he got ready, if you smell, and Roman put his hand on him and made him stop, and Rock just looked at him. He goes, I love family. I love you, but I need you to do one thing for me. I'm like, you better not. You better not. He said, acknowledge me. And The Rock looked at him. So first, I thought
I
they
thought
were going to go.
by the way,
You thought what?
I thought they were going to go to commercial break because
I thought they were
any,
going to go to blows.
any dramatic television show that would have been the commercial break.
No, Paul Heyman already did that in the first part of it. He goes, and The Rock after this commercial.
But hold on, that's because the shit went so long. I thought it was time for another commercial.
No, he did that before The Rock came out. He goes, and The Rock will come out after this commercial.
I know. I watched it. In fact, I watched it before you got to my house yesterday.
Well, it was fit because it was a 15-minute entrance for damn Roman. It took him 15 minutes to get to the damn ring.
Always does, man. Always does. But it did that. Then Paul said, well, my tribal chief, we've got to bring out like the main attraction of Hollywood and blah blah blah, did all that stuff. They went to commercial, they came back, but when he said, I just need one thing from you.
Yeah, that would have been dramatic.
Like that would have been the perfect spot for another commercial break because they would have been like, what is The Rock gonna say?
So The Rock, I acknowledge. He acknowledged him. So here's what, and I told you this in the car. All right, so I told you this in the car. So first off, before I get to what I told you in the car, exactly when he did the thing, you notice before he finished it, he did the gun thing. He like pulled the trigger and then he did that. So that, along with when he was challenging or whatever he was saying to Cody Rhodes, he's telling Cody Rhodes, I will beat you at WrestleMania, but he pointed at Roman, right? So that was two. Then I was like, so The Rock laid the challenge. He goes, okay, first night of WrestleMania, me and Roman, you and Seth. If you win, no bloodline on night two when you have your match. But if we win, he's like, Paulie could be, ring the bell. Haku, not Haku. Solo could sing the national anthem. So, but what I told you is like,
they shut the crowd, like the entire thing shut down, and the crowd was just going solo, solo, solo. Like they want him to be the one singing the national anthem now.
And the Rock's like, and he's got a good voice. It was funny. But I told you in the car,
good voice.
I told you in the car on the way yesterday to the pay-per-view, I said, I can see Cody and Seth losing the first night, and then the second night the bloodline can be there, and that's when The Rock turns on Roman and cost him that title. And I think that's how they're going to play it.
And by the way, folks, TIno did say that to me, but I said I agree completely. Like it wasn't like he came up with something that I was completely against. We both had the same idea, but he did say it first.
He's gonna jump on my bandwagon. So when it happens, he can go. When it happens, and three, he'll go. And I told you guys when you heard it here first. I said it, just because I know how you are.
That's why that happened that way.
Shut up.
So the fact that WWE SmackDown started with The Rock. Well, first with the Bloodline, and
30
then
fucking minutes.
well, there's another thing to this because I already said I'm a fan of Busted Open, but I'm going to get to that in a minute.
They need to fucking sponsor us.
They should, but the fact is that The Rock, without saying Dave LaGreca, who is the show host of Busted Open, without calling him out by name, actually made fun of him as the biggest Cody crybaby. So now he's taken it on as he is the leader of the Cody crybabies, mind you. And that's all I'll say about that. When it came to this,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm done. I'm done with the Bloodline. You're just talking about the Bloodline. Go ahead.
I am. When The Rock came out, if you kept paying attention, Roman looked irritated the entire time. Even after The Rock acknowledged him, Roman still looked irritated. He looked a little more complacent. But here are some of the TV notices here. Is when the Bloodline came out, it was obviously Roman, Paul Heyman, Jimmy, and Solo. They all came out to the ring, and they all stood on one side of the ring. When Paul Heyman actually said that The Rock will be here after the commercial break, The Rock cut his entire promo without any acknowledgement of what was in the other half of the ring. It wasn't until he said, "If you smell," and then it wasn't like the mic getting held. It was he got grabbed by the forearm, and Roman was like, "I'll do anything for family. I will do anything in this situation. I just need one thing." And The Rock's looking at him, and you can see like I don't know if it's like steroid pimples popping out or whatever, but like something is happening in The Rock's head where he's just like, are you gonna mess this up? Like, are you gonna blow this for everybody? What is going on? And then Roman's like, acknowledge me. And the reason why is because if you remember at the beginning of the promo, like Glendale, Arizona booed Roman. And they didn't just boo it. Like it was still a good pop. Don't get me wrong. In fact, it was a great pop. But he was like, maybe I'm in the wrong town. Maybe I need to do something else. How about Phoenix, Arizona? And the crowd did the exact same thing. And they, like the whole thing. And he was like, I fulfilled my obligation. I'm out of here. Like, call up the Jets. Let's get this thing going. Let's get out of here. And okay, now we've really given our time to this. The last thing I noticed was The Rock went to put the one finger up, saying that he acknowledged him, right? TIno.
Mm-hmm.
Then went like this. Then went like this again. And TIno heard me last night at the AEW pay-per-view, and I said Samoa Joe is acknowledging his tribal chief because he put his one finger up at the end of the match. But that's really everything that happened on SmackDown, on Raw, everything that happened in WWE programming this week, except for maybe the real quick statement of Austin Theory getting pissed off at Grayson Waller, which is going to lead to a breakup, probably at WrestleMania, and something that you might want to talk about a little bit more than me, but the fact that Naomi has now taken 2 pinfalls in a row to Tiffany Stratton.
That's not what I mean, yeah, that's true too, but that's not what I wanted to talk about.
So what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about I want to talk about Dakota Kai and Bailey.
There you go.
And
Okay.
how I
Good
figured
choice.
that they had to
Good choice.
do that. And the reason why I think A, we knew it was going to happen. B, it needed to happen because Dakota Kai needs to be that mouthpiece, because I've said before and I'll say it again, they are already doing the closed caption thing for Shinsuke on Raw pretty much every week. Now, I understood they had to do it for the Kabuki Warriors and EO because they didn't have anybody, right? So maybe those 2 weeks I can forgive them from that. But I think from now on, Dakota needs to be their mouthpiece.
Wait, who said that 2 weeks ago?
What? Now, I'm the one originally said that they don't need to be doing the. Okay, you're right. It's all you.
Don't get angry.
Because I
Don't get
fucking
angry.
said it. Because I fucking said it 2 weeks ago that it was getting old. They don't need to be doing. If they're going to do it on Raw, they don't need to do it on SmackDown.
I'll tell you what. How about the Potsy and TIno show? Both hosts sat there and said it'd be better if they had an English-speaking mouthpiece in that group. How about that? Because we both said it. Are you frozen?
Nope.
But we both said it, and I actually think I don't remember who said it first. Maybe one of these folks listening in the audience could actually say who said it first. I don't care. My point is that the two of us both agree that they can't do the same thing that they did with Shinsuke. We said that all along. And we said that Dakota Kai was probably going to turn on Bailey.
Okay.
What else you want to talk about?
That's it for Raw. That's it for SmackDown. I guess.
Anything from NXT? There was show up.
Huh?
There was somebody that showed up that hadn't been on NXT television or AEW television or anything else in a long time.
Oh yeah, Sean Spears. I told you I'm tired. I forgot about that.
You're
But
fine. That's why I'm trying to lead you into it.
I thought. Yeah, I think we talked about it
want
yesterday. If they're going to go back, they'd be the Ty Dillinger. I don't think, and that's what it was. I think that's what bothered me about that is WWE usually, and we talked about this going up to the show yesterday. If someone is doing a gimmick or has a name outside of WWE, they usually don't let them do that gimmick or do that in WWE. He just took the same gimmick he was doing AEW, which they don't even want to mention AEW. So why they let Sean Spears the chairman? You know what I mean? That's not a WWE thing. I was expecting them to probably come into the Ty Dillinger because, like you said it. They were hollering. I didn't hear it, but they were chanting 10, 10, 10 in the audience. So
all right. Yeah, okay. You want me to try to tackle this because I don't have an exact answer. I don't think there is an exact answer. But what I said to you in the car yesterday was quite simply, I feel like in this situation, the Ty Dillinger name they could bring back by naming him as Sean Spears when he makes.
sorry, Dan. I forgot to mute my phone.
You're fine.
I was like, what is
that? so the Sean Spears situation, I feel like they're actually trying to take on the same thing that they do, where they're like, this person is big in Japan, right? I think that what they're trying to do here is they're trying to say, hey, he was Sean Spears in other promotions, and he was the champion of that promotion. And we either see him as Sean Spears because I when we start talking about AEW, I want to talk about a post I made to our Facebook group earlier. But the same thing is that Sean Spears kind of got lost in the shuffle of AEW.
But and I see what you're saying. They're trying to, like you said, they want people to realize this is Sean Spears from another company. Get that. But we also said, why not do the same thing? Well, this was Kevin Steen
Well,
outside. You know what I mean?
well, hold on. While they didn't do that with Kevin Steen, they did do it with Fergal Devitt. They did do it with oh God, who's the other one that does the go to sleep that is no longer with WWE? The Japanese guy. God damn it! Why can't I remember his name?
I see his
You know what I'm
face. I
talking
know who
about?
you're talking about. Yeah.
Like his name when he came to WWE, and then he became the Chris Barrett, Michael Turner. Anybody that knows it, go ahead and put it in the chat. I can't remember his name.
God, was it?
No, was it Kushida?
Huh?
Oh, Kushida was the time splitter.
Yeah, he didn't need to go to sleep.
Kenta
Yeah.
became somebody else in WWE while he was in WWE. So they used to, when they would come into NXT, they would have their original name, it would show it on the screen, and then it would flash like through some things and become the new name. And they'd be
But
like,
it was
this
so,
is who they are.
and it was so stupid because like when what was it? AJ came in, they let him keep AJ Styles. So I guess it's just no rhyme or reason. And
No.
Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Of course, Luke Gallows used to be Festus and the fake Kane.
So it's not the same thing. And the reason why is because there comes a point where, like, AJ actually said to them, hey, you can change my name to anything, but I got this giant AJ tattoo right here. You're going to probably have to call me AJ something. And Vince was like, no, we want to bring you in as AJ Styles because that's what you're known as. You were there, you were there, you were there, you were there, you were here. Kind of made sense. And like, look at Cody Rhodes. When Cody Rhodes came back from AEW, they didn't go, hey, we want to make you Stardust. We don't want to make you Cody. We don't want to make you this. We want the American Nightmare. So they
Like
know.
keep the music and everything.
Well, no, they updated the music, but not a lot. Like the whoa is much bigger now, by the way. Like they actually said, this is how we changed the music. But again, yeah, it's the same thing. Is that like it's the same thing as that? Is that if you like if Drew McIntyre wanted to be Drew Galloway in WWE, he probably could have worked towards getting that. I mean, look at Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode came as Bobby Roode. Robert Roode.
Yeah.
And like and it except yes, they want to own everything. But sometimes licensing is better than owning. The Rock, for example. WWE doesn't own The Rock anymore. It's owned by Dwayne Johnson and is now under a 10-year licensing agreement with TKO.
Because doesn't Billy Gunn have his Billy Gunn call himself Billy Gunn?
Billy Gunn waited till WWE's trademark ran out and then filed for another one. And WWE didn't oppose it, so that's why he was able to get his name. Chris Jericho, kind of the same thing, except it was like.
Wasn't that something they were doing something like that with Cody Rhodes too? Because he could only be called Cody. It wouldn't only be called Cody Rhodes.
Yes, it's a pretty difficult thing to explain, but what basically happened was they found an art. So this is so KeenSpot, my uh, uh, publishing company, is actually sending a cease and desist to somebody who's trying to use the name's Last Blood in a comic book, right? Like as the name of the comic. And this person is pretty well known in the comic book industry. And he's being told, hey, you can't use Last Blood as the name of a comic book, right? He's still trying to do it, thinking, oh, I'm a millionaire. I can do whatever the fuck I want. When it goes out to him, it basically is the implication of, hey, who had it first in the medium that you're trying to deliver it in? That's what a trademark is. Okay. And by the way, there was a really good Talk is Jericho about this, where they actually had a trademark lawyer on the show talking about it. And this is where they brought up the Billy Gunn thing.
Didn't Cody Rhodes have where he in high school or something wrestled under the name Cody Rhodes? So it's before he started wrestling.
That's exactly what it was. He refereed a match under the name, and it was refereeing a Dusty Rhodes versus somebody else match in a auditorium, like a gymnasium or something.
Oh, I thought he wrestled with the name
No,
Cody Rhodes. He reffed it.
referee as Cody Rhodes. And and Cody didn't really oppose it, and that's why for like a year and a half they allowed him to just go by Cody. But if you notice, what they started doing in AEW was they had him show up as Cody and Brandy Rhodes. So it was Brandy Rhodes' name coming up with the Rhodes name. But when it wasn't opposed over a certain amount of time, they finally said, well, we now have precedent saying that even if somebody sues us for it, we can say, we've been saying he's Cody Rhodes all along.
Didn't they do that with they did that with Billy too, though, didn't they?
Absolutely. With Billy Gunn, it originally was Daddy Ass. It was whatever. Like, actually, when I think the first couple appearances, he was Kip Sop because that's his real name. And then they were like, well, let's just start calling him Billy. So they called him Billy. And they would call him Billy on air, even though like the little tag would sit there and say one thing. And then all of a sudden they started calling him Billy Gunn. And then they had the Guns come out, and he was coming out with the Guns. So it was Billy and Austin and whatever Gunn. So again, they kind of played into it, but with Billy Gunn, the trademark actually expired with WWE, so he applied for it. They didn't oppose it, so he won the trademark.
Yeah. Okay.
So, no. Sorry, I know
no, that was that. Yeah, that's what I always, because I knew back in the day, whenever somebody would come, like when Stunning Steve came up, Steve Austin, he was still the Taskmaster, and all of a sudden he was Stone Cold Steve Austin. So they kind of let him do that. So yeah,
but
and it took a while.
That explained it in a way that like everybody out there, I'm hoping, actually understood it. You know, like and I know that it took get to point A to get to point B to get to, but I tried to.
No, yeah, that's cool.
Minimize the education level to get to where everybody understands how that trademark stuff works. Because, like with the Last Blood thing, this guy's sitting there saying, "Oh, I'm doing a minor, like small thing," but as soon as he establishes that he has printing rights on this, he can come back and say, "Well, they didn't really." But we now have precedent saying we also sent him, a cease and desist saying you can't do this. So,
Right.
and I know we don't have a lot of viewers necessarily, so I can say that and not really worry about like it being picked up by national media or anything. So, anything from Raw? I don't remember Raw at this point.
I can't either.
Yeah, it like I know Cody's going to be on SmackDown next week because he's got to accept or reject the Rock's offer. Uh, the yeah. So I really don't have anything else there. I'm thinking we talk about
Yes, that's because that's going to be that was 7 hours of our life. And
it was
Jason
longer.
said,
It was 12 hours of my more than 12 hours of my day because you got to my house at 2:30 and I got home at 3:40 in the morning. So
Jan Jason, when we were riding back, he said where he was sitting, he saw DDP, Lex Luger, Magnum TA. So he saw a lot of those old guys. So apparently where they were, because we didn't see any of the old timers, but I guess where
came
he
rolling,
was, he could see.
and I hate to say it, they came rolling down a certain section, and Denise Salcedo actually posted the video, and it's kind of crazy because you see Magnum TA in his little stand-up like cart that like rolls down. Then you see Lex Luger being walked down in his wheelchair, and then you see Diamond Dallas Page just sitting there like 69 years old, just sitting there like, oh, look at me, man. I do yoga, and it's like, really?
It's
Like
awesome.
it yes. And let's not forget that Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat were also part of this match. But Tino, let's start at the beginning.
And the first match was the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. Um, and they were who did they fight? They fought the Lethal,
Jeff
Jarrett,
Jarrett
uh, Sanjay, Private
and Willie Mack,
Party, and Willie Mack.
who Willie Mack apparently didn't even realize he was supposed to be part of the heel group.
One thing I would say, um, Satnam Singh is a big
Tall
motherfucker.
motherfucker.
I was like, holy God. And then
That Go ahead.
Karen Jarrett was down there. There was some there was comic relief between her and the guns
And the
and the crowd. You saw her smack. I didn't see her smack her ass. You said like she was like telling him to kiss her. I didn't see that part.
telling everybody to smack her or to kiss her ass, and she was slapping her ass with all that bejazzling she had going on.
I want to know what's going on with Max Caster because this is probably the third time. So he tried on Dynamite, then he tried on Collision, and then he tried last night. And are they cutting him off, or is he losing track and losing his train of thought when he's trying to do the raps?
So I thought that at Collision, one of the Bang Bang gang actually put their hands over his mic. And I
No,
thought,
Switchblade came and just put his arm around him. I think that threw him off. He's like, "Hey, get off me!" That's what. Yeah, he never put his hand on the mic. He just put his arm around him while he was rapping.
oh, because what I'm saying would make it seem much better because
Yeah,
I still tension between the two groups. They're trying to act together, but there's tension. So maybe what they need to do is start listening to what I'm saying here and say that that's what's been going on.
no, I
But
think there is.
but Max Caster was also visibly shaken by it for minutes into the match, is what was being said online about this. So, like, I thought that it was like on purpose, but if what you're saying is true, then dude needs to grow a set because
I,
he needs to
no,
be
I think
ready
no,
for
no, I
the
think
group's
it is.
doing.
I think they are building tension between him and the other guys too, because it's usually um, between him and Switchblade where that's not getting along. And remember, because you remember at the end of the match when not Jay Lethal, damn, Jay White was in there talking. He was talking smack in the ring, and he looked at Max Caster and said, "See, Max, it's not that hard. I think they're building it. I think they're building it.
Well, the funny thing that I thought about that was, okay, so folks, the match ended with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang actually getting the pin, getting the win, and then Jay White grabbed the microphone, and obviously we're 30 minutes before the start of the pay-per-view, and he's sitting there and he keeps saying, I love Greensboro. I
Greensboro, yeah.
love Greensboro.
It's
And,
my
and he keeps
favorite
saying
town to wrestle in.
Greensboro. And he just keeps saying it, and like you can hear the crowd getting like, like, and the crowd.
I, I
Hey,
thought I
even
thought it was
during,
just his accent.
well, I thought so too, but the fact that he said it like 6 times in like a minute and a half promo segment meant I know he was saying it on purpose. You know what I mean? Like it just felt like he was like, oh, I'm gonna dig a little bit. I'm gonna dig. And obviously now that they've announced Darby Allin versus Jay White on Dynamite, they're obviously still gonna be pushing him probably as the heel. Bang Bang Scissor Gang wins the match. Pretty solid match, pretty fun match. Daddy Ass actually getting to do the rocker dropper on Sundam Singh was like he tried to do it like how many times I don't know,
Oh
but
God.
impressive when he finally nailed it because Jay White held him down.
And then it took what, two of them to pick him up to do the trying
Yeah,
to do the suplex.
yes. So all right. Second match of the night was the tag
Willow Nightingale. Yeah.
Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander versus Sky Blue and Julia Hart. And
And they were chopping the chops in that match. I think you're like, ow.
well, yeah, because they were doing the slap down chops rather than the slap out chops, right? So they were going like this. They kept going like this, and Tino sits there. Now, okay, this is where we become a little PG-13 or maybe even a little bit harder than that.
Because you
Tino sits
said they
there.
kept you said they're slapping in the titties.
I said she keeps slapping her in the titties, and Tino's like, "Yup." And I was like, I wouldn't mind being that guy doing that, And Tino sits there and goes, "She ain't got nothing," because she's talking about Sky Blue, and I'm like,
I
well,
said
I
I said
I
be,
mean,
I said it'd be I said it's like be like slapping a 10-year-old kid. It's like
that's so. Anyways,
I was like, no, I mean it's not really hurting. I think my favorite part is and I said pounds is uh Willow Nightingale channeling her inner Monty Brown and hitting the pounds.
yeah, she slapped one of them to where they flew outside the ring.
No, she
Uh,
pounced. She hit the ropes and just went and shoulder tap. Because it was funny because I'm reading the thing that
oh,
said she
there was
almost pounced her.
a lot of outside ring action that happened in this match, and um, Bleacher Report gave it one of the lowest reported scores of the night, but I really felt like the teams worked well together. I think that, and I'm hoping that this means that Sky Blue and Julia Hart are moving away from the House of Black. Is what I was telling you while we were at the show. You say
Yeah,
you think so, but that would
because
mean that Sky Blue is working her way into the House of Black, and I don't think that's the case either.
I also think that because, like I said, Chris Stat has had her chance at the title. I think now that Willow won that match, I think Willow's next in line for that title shot. And I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad if they let Willow get that TNT title, or
Now
excuse me,
you
TBS title.
you said you expected Julia Hart to eat the pin. Who ate the pin?
Julia Hart, I believe, ate the pin.
Yeah,
I think.
I believe you're right, but I
Hold
wouldn't be.
on.
No, I think it was. You know what? I think it was Sky Blue.
No. I'm reading it. Nightingale, big power bomb from Nightingale to Hart for the victory. So yeah, she pinned.
Yeah, so
She
she'll
pinned
went up for that title.
because Stokely stood in
Oh,
the ring afterwards. They were looking down at her, and Stokely was doing this and pointing at Willow.
fucking Stokely. Love Stokely.
Stokely. The only
Love.
thing I was telling Jason, his dad, going in. The only thing, and you know this, I've told you for years. I hate not being able to hear commentary because I know.
You're not the so. By the way, we went with our buddy Rob Johnson, and Rob actually said that was his first wrestling event ever that he
Wow.
went live. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I was just taking it all in. He said, but you know, the one thing I hated was I didn't hear the commentary. And I was like, I get it. I hate that too. Except I think we got a better presentation of the world title match than what they presented based on the commentary. And we'll get to that and I'll explain it. So make sure I do because I think it's important. But yeah, I always want to hear the commentary and even the crowd during the pre-show when Tony Schiavone was supposed to be interviewing what's his name?
Crockett.
Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone kept the microphone away from David Crockett, so David Crockett couldn't hear him. And they're like, "We can't hear you. We can't hear you."
And
Like,
then Tony took it, and then he finally put it in his mouth and started talking, and the crowd's like, "Yay!"
the whole crowd like cheered and Tony Schiavone's like, "What the fuck are they cheering at?" It's like motherfucker, you had the microphone too far away. All right, first match of the night on the actual pay-per-view was Christian Cage versus Daniel Garcia. So go ahead, talk about this.
I thought it was a good match. I was expecting Edge. I keep saying Edge. I was expecting
That's
Adam Copeland to
fine.
show up because he lives right there in Asheville. And I was
Yeah.
telling Rob, I'm like, wouldn't that be cool? And Rob goes, well, he does live in Asheville, and I forgot about that. I was like, yes. Um, I thought it was a good match. Danny looked strong. Daniel Garcia looked strong. And I can't take that away from Christian because if that's one thing I can say about Christian, he's an awesome heel, but he's awesome, also awesome at making. He can make anybody look good.
Making players. This match, interestingly, I think the one that got that was made to look the worst was probably Luchasaurus, aka Kill Switch. Nick Wayne actually was the one that helped Christian Cage win the match. The
I think
interesting thing
my,
is,
my
hold on. I have to say this so that I'm on record as saying it, Tino. When Daniel Garcia pulled the turtleneck over Christian Cage's head and then began to thrust in his face with his dick. I have a feeling if they are smart, they will play this as Christian Cage will actually sit there and threaten sexual harassment arguments against Daniel Garcia to prevent him from getting another match against him. And if they are smart, they will play that angle because it is a crazy and fun angle to run. Now, the other thing that made me really, really shocked about this match was that Mama Wayne was wearing maybe 2, maybe 3-inch heels, but with those heels, she was the tallest person in the match. I'm talking against Kill Switch. I'm talking against anybody on commentary. She was the tallest person. And by the way, she was awesome. She's the new Karen Jarrett. She knows her role. She shuts her mouth, but she kills you with every look she gives you and what she tells you she's going to do, like just with looks. It's amazing. And Christian snuck out with a victory.
We did get a Daddy Magic. He came down. He fought Luchasaurus to the back.
Was a little weird that fat Matt Hardy was able to sit there and take Kill Switch all the way to the back, but he did. Maybe it was that red leather jacket of his. I don't know. Go ahead.
I think all the false finishes too in that match, because there's one where Garcia, he did the pile driver on Christian, and you kept saying, I think at first you were looking up at the screen, you're like, you're saying that the refs were counting slow, and I'm like, I don't think they were counting slow, but
Well,
that one,
I explained that afterwards. I
yeah,
said,
yeah.
look up.
But
They were counting slow, but then I realized that you hear it differently when you're watching it on the screen there. So
then
yeah.
Garcia hit that pile driver, and the referee, everybody was saying, the crowd did, that was three, because I mean.
So Bleacher Report actually even reported on that in their review of the match. They said it was so close that the crowd was chanting that was 3, and that actually increased their score for the match. Now, I want to point out that match only went like 12 minutes.
I don't remember how long it was.
Well, the reason why I say that is because the very next match, Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson, and that match took them to like 8:45, and that was what was surprising to me. Was I was like, shit, we're only at 8:45 by the end of this match. Now, Tino, I know you want to be off of here quickly, but we're at an hour and 15 minutes, so we've got a little bit more to go on this pay-per-view. So why don't you go ahead and give me your analysis of the match?
I thought it was a good match. Like I said, I thought Daniel, we talked about that. Danielson took too many, especially with the concussion that he had. He did a lot of things where he was getting the headbutts, getting things with his head. Eddie, to watch him wrestling live, you think he would be blown up, and his cardio is good. His cardio is great.
Cardio is amazing. He reminds me of Mick Foley when he would fight Shawn Michaels. That's what he reminds me of, because you see Shawn Michaels and you see this like chiseled fucking like statue, and then you see Mick Foley and you're like, I look like him.
But also, and the first 5 minutes of that match, Daniel's chest looked like hamburger because Eddie was chopping the shit out of Bryan Danielson.
So I do want to point out that you said the first 5 minutes. I want to say that the first 5 minutes actually seemed very slow. And it wasn't until they started chopping that all there was a specific spot where Eddie, like, Danielson went to chop and he like blocked it and grabbed him and did a suplex. That's when the match really seemed to take off. And what pissed me off was, like, after all those first chops, the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." And I was like, what the fuck was awesome about that? Nothing was awesome. You heard me. I'm literally going, what the fuck was awesome about that? They're both laying on the ground. Nothing's going on.
I think it's the excitement of the match that we've got Danielson and Eddie in the ring. I really think that's what it was. And Danielson too. You kept saying, "Who does he think he is, Pete Dunne?" Because he kept doing his fingers and stomping on his elbow. And I'm like, they're gonna break somebody's hand.
And you know, and by the way, this was a master class in selling. Both Danielson with his chest, because I mean you can't not sell that. I mean, it literally looked like an Arby's roast beef sandwich. Like there's like, it had some Arby's sauce on it, but it was just a purple fucking mess. And Kingston with that right hand, he would not use that right hand after Danielson had like mangled it.
And every time he did, he
when it was absolutely necessary, and he could not match another move to it after he did it. Like even when he did the slap thing that he does,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That spinning back fist. Yeah.
yeah, he couldn't do anything after that, and it was amazing. Now, the one thing I want to point out is that our buddy Terrence, who was dressed as Ric Flair last night, or he called himself Trick Flair because, well, he's African American. But he sat there and sent me a message after the match was over and said, Danielson needs to stop jobbing. and I got to be honest with you, he's 100% right. I need to see Danielson win some of these fucking matches because you can't claim to be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time and lose every match. Like I mean,
think this was to finish this story, and I think this was about a respect and redemption story. But I think after this, he'll go back to winning.
Well, this I almost wonder whether or not it will lead to him and Kingston in a tag team during
that
tournament, because we're getting ready to talk about something else. But
hold on, stop. What was the point? What was the point of the Danielson match?
To shake the hand,
right?
To show that he actually respects him, and
he had like he wasn't going to.
And you know, here's where I'm upset about this. The crowd was like, shake his hand. But if we all would have chanted, hug it out, I think those two men would have actually taken that moment and been like, oh shit. And they would have
that's not in Eddie's character. I don't think that'll happen. I think they did it right. I think they did it right.
We didn't think that Eddie shaking any of these guys' hands was in his character because he never shook Chris Jericho's hand. He never shook CM Punk's hand.
So this was to prove a point. This was, he wanted that because Daniel's been shitting on him. And he's like, I know it's going to, that's why he did it. He goes, I know it's how it's going to get to you, that you're going to have to shake my hand. So that's the only reason he shook his hand. Not because he wanted to. He was trying to get under Danielson's skin because he knew Danielson didn't respect him and wouldn't want to shake his hand.
Yeah, but neither
that was the whole premise.
That's what I'm saying.
He didn't give a shit about that. He was being an asshole. He just wanted to prove a point with Danielson.
No. If you remember, shaking Chris Jericho's hand was one of the stipulations of one of those matches. And that's not. I know, but that's not this story. With that weird handshake thing that he wanted to do, where he was like this. You remember that when he did that weird handshake thing? And Eddie Kingston was like, no, I'm not shaking your hand. Like Eddie Kingston's character used to be, I'm going to make you to where you have to do it. And then I'm going to be like, fuck you. I'm not doing it. That's been his character all along.
So the next match, I mean, it was the only thing I liked about it. And it was the 8-man scramble. The 8-man scramble.
The big match.
Yeah, so that was the only thing I liked about it. Every time they were hit, he was like, me. And then when the little guys got in there, you're like, where's the beef? They start saying, where's the
It was, dude, I don't know. Okay, so WWE and even AEW have now had matches that were sponsored by major corporations. AEW had one sponsored by the Texas Chainsaw video game. WWE obviously has had the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. Like, this was the perfect time to have the Arby's We Have the Meats match. And they did not do it. And yet we all as fans sat there and wanted to hear the commentary from the guy who does the Arby's We Have the Meats. Like, we wanted his voice commentating this match. But where's the beef?
That was funny.
But hold on, it started out as a no beef, or no meat, and then all of a sudden it changed into a Where's the beef?
Where's the
Where's
beef?
the beef? And by the way, I'm going to sit there and say right now, Dante Martin, every opportunity that dude had to run in and get hit by somebody else, he totally accepted that moment. He ran into the ring, got picked up, and thrown across the ring every fucking time. Like, he got 2 good moves off in the ring himself, but he literally allowed himself to be tossed around like a fucking rag doll in Fortnite.
Now, if he'd have gone in there and was beating the hell out of the bigger guys, you'd have been crying about they shouldn't be selling for him. Now you're talking about him getting thrown around. What was the point of him being in the match?
My point is that, and you were there next to me, and
Yeah.
what this guy did was, when there'd be one big guy standing there, Dante Martin would slide into the ring and be like, I'm just going to go ahead and get thrown around. And he literally got thrown around, dude. Like, it wasn't even Dante Martin has any chance of winning this match. It wasn't
No.
And it wasn't these big guys are going to sell for him. No, he literally slid into the ring, got into Wardlow's face, and Wardlow was like, I'm throwing you out to the Undisputed Kingdom. Fuck you. Here you go. Like,
Speaking of which, how long was Wardlow on the floor?
I talk about that because you and I were sitting there talking about that with the weird dude in front of us that just wanted to bitch and moan about the fact that he was pushing our knees against our chests. So go ahead and
Now, I was just wondering, like I was watching everybody else. I'm like, where's Wardlow? And I look over, and he's just over there, just chilling, talking to Adam Cole, drinking his water. I'm like, are you in this match?
Dude, he literally sat there and did nothing for a long time. The only other time I noticed that, by the way, I don't think you notice this in WWE matches at all. And I think it's because they understand like the presentation a lot more. Now, granted, this was on camera versus off camera stuff, but like Chris Statlander, you sat there during that match and you said, where's Statlander? And I was like, oh, she's over in the corner. And you saw her and she's sitting there like this. And then all of a sudden, like, as soon as we said that, she's like, oh, let me try climbing up to the...
Like she heard us.
Because in the meat match, there was the one dude, the one that looked like Rey Mysterio, sitting there like this.
Yes, yes.
There, like, was looking into the ring, and it's like, guys, you can't fucking do that. You can't make it look like, oh, I'm just watching as the match is. Like, Wardlow was the worst one because he literally was, okay, they had the commentary area, and then they had the, oh, we're just going to have random wrestlers sitting in this area. And he's just in the random wrestlers sitting with the Undisputed Kingdom, and they're handing him bottles of water, and he's drinking water. And he's like, oh, oh. And then finally, they get to the point where, like, it looks like somebody's getting ready to do something that looks like it's going to be a 2 count or whatever. And you see him, and he nonchalantly gets up on the ropes and hops in and then proceeds to win the match. Now, granted, his last ride powerbomb that he delivered, powerbomb that he has ever delivered, bar none, no doubt, best powerbomb he's ever delivered. Like, I was blown away by it. But at the same time, I was like, he literally took 15 minutes.
All right. So we kept so I kept telling you I didn't see them roll Adam Cole away, but because the next match was the Roger Strong and Orange Cassidy, and he came back down with Taven and the other dude. I'm like, when did they go back up the ramp? You know, what the fuck?
Well, I think they did. So I think they walked him around,
Or either
then,
when it blacked out and they just because it did go black while they were showing the stuff on the screen and we were looking at the screen probably.
but they didn't actually come down Adam Cole didn't come down the ramp the second time.
Not the second time. No, the first time he did. The second time, that's what I'm saying though. Second time when Roger Strong came out and he came out with the ROH tag champions, I'm like, I looked at the commentary table, I'm like, where did Adam Cole go? And that happened twice. Like when Taz came down and was commentary. When Taz came down, look, there's Taz. I'm like, the fuck did he get here? And then same thing with JR. I'm like, what?
Jim Ross thing, like everyone's like, oh, Jim Ross is down here for this. And normally when Jim Ross, it's like you get the Oklahoma music, like the Sooner music, and nothing. I think they were pressed for time because those matches happened like boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? So I think that they snuck those guys out, ran other guys in. Well, so Roderick Strong versus Orange Cassidy. Orange had told everybody during the pre-show he didn't want the best friends because he was tired of them getting hurt. And I don't know
because of him.
Because of him. And he made everybody put their hand in, including the interviewer and the security guy, which I thought was weird. But match was fine.
I mean, how many backbreakers?
What I liked here's what made it make sense without interference was because the undisputed Kingdom, was this the match where the smoke machine got thrown, or was that
that was Jericho? That was Jericho.
Oh,
they were coming.
Okay. So this match had 4 guys that could interfere with the match, and nobody got involved at all. Orange Cassidy loses the match, and I think it's time. I think the guy needs to actually get healthy, come back, and go after the world title. But what made it really weird was at the end of the match, for the second time in Greensboro, Kyle O'Reilly makes an appearance in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Kanellis, not Kanellis. What's his name?
Taven?
No, not Taven. The partner took off his shirt, gave it to Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly sits there, looks at the shirt after giving a hug to Roddy Strong, walks back up to Roddy Strong, puts it on his shoulder, says something to him, and then walks out. And all I kept saying during this, because you were like, who is it? And I was like, it's Kyle O'Reilly.
I couldn't, because his back was to me, and I couldn't really tell till he turned around. And he's put on muscle. But I think they
fuck ton of.
But I think they had.
But
I think they had to let him grow his hair and his beard, because if not, he had that. He looked like a 12-year-old kid, so they had to make him look. I won't say tougher, but you know what I mean. He couldn't come back with that same.
I don't think he looks any tougher. My opinion of this moment here was that I was like, that's Kyle O'Reilly, and this is twice he showed up in Greensboro, which was weird to me. But the very first time we were in Greensboro, we saw him. Now this time we see him in Greensboro, and we see him, and I was like, but it looks like they picked him up from the bus station. Like he was wearing like sweat shorts. He was wearing a fucking like beat up t-shirt, like, and he just looked like he hadn't cleaned himself up in a month. So I was like,
I think they're going for a rugged look. I think I'm gonna wait for it to play out.
Me too, and I think we're gonna have to find out, and hopefully it'll be like on Collision or something where Roddy Strong sits there and goes, Kyle, come on out and tell everybody what you told me, and blah blah blah.
It'll probably be Wednesday at Dynamite.
Well, I think that'll be a collision thing. I think they'll do like the world title stuff on Dynamite, and they'll do that on Collision. But I could be wrong. It could be both. Who cares? Like
Right.
if you're booking it correctly, you could do it on both, and you get part of the story one place, part of the story the other place, and it makes for good story. So next match.
I lost my train. I lost my place. Sorry.
Were you happy?
FTR.
By the way, were you happy to see Kyle O'Reilly show back up?
It was a surprise. I can't say that I was happy because I don't
It
know
was
what
a
they're going
surprise
to.
that meant absolutely nothing.
People, I mean, everybody else was glad to see him. The crowd went crazy.
That made it weird. And you know what? What I loved about it was they made him a baby face because the crowd cheered, and right at the very end, he actually went like that to the crowd. And if they put it on camera, and I don't know if they did, but I know that I saw that if they actually put it on camera, that means he's a baby face going forward. Obviously, we know the United King or the Undisputed Kingdom is not baby faces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
FTR and the BCC. BCC walked right in front of us, and
Yes,
they came down. They came down in good night, Barrett. They came down in the Road Warrior
all
attack with
black,
spikes.
all black spikes. Yes.
I was expecting Moxley to want to get bloody, and it wasn't. It was Dax. This is another hard hitting kick ass. I thought they were going to shake hands after the match. I didn't know what was going on. I wanted FTR to win. Was I disappointed that the BCC won? Yes.
So at this point, talking about this pay-per-view, can I go ahead and just flat out say it felt like Tony Khan took the wind out of our sails every single match until the main event. And I'm not going to say what the main event response was. I'm just saying that like every match we felt like the person that should win did not win. Is that how you felt, or is that just me?
No, I thought Roddy it was time for Roddy to win.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, like babyface versus heel and stuff like that. Like the and we'll get more into it, but like this match really made me think Tony Khan sitting there like fucking us because FTR, the hometown team,
should have won.
Should have went over. And by the way, if I had to ask Moxley and Claudio like sidebar on it, they probably would have agreed. And yet we got Moxley and Claudio winning the match. And in a fashion that I was like, I'm a little disappointed by that.
Yeah.
Like it started to like that was the moment that started to hurt my feelings. And apparently, if we were listening to commentary, which we weren't able to, TIno, the commentary started saying things like, at this point, Mox and Claudio have been singles wrestlers, but after a win like this, they have established themselves as a powerful team in AEW, which
they're going to protect you.
Which unfortunately we will talk about in a couple minutes.
Yep. All right. So you got up and went to the bathroom, and you missed probably one of the best parts of this match. So the next match was Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo. They hit Tony Storm's original music from when she came into AEW, and You thought it was Tony with the long hair again. She had the sunglasses, the hat turned backwards, and the thing under her eye. That crowd lost its damn mind until they realized it was Mariah May. And then Tony's new music hit, and then she came out. But for that split second, I was like, "The fuck, she's back!" Everybody got excited.
Except,
Um,
she got short hair. Like, that's what Rob said to me. He goes, I knew she had short hair. I knew she wasn't.
I mean, she could have put a wig. She could have extensions. Just
Right. I agree. But he's like, I knew it wasn't her because she didn't have real hair.
and so I think during that match, it was a good match. It was a back and forth match. I was surprised that Mariah May wasn't involved because I made that comment, and then towards the end, that's when she got up and tried to get involved into the match.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That I think the right at first I did want Deanna to win, but then I was watching. I mean, I've been watching Collision and fucking Thunder Rosa's on a roll. So I'm like, I'm hoping, I'm wondering. Thunder Rosa never lost that title. Tony Storm was the interim champion while Thunder Rosa was out. So I'm wondering if Thunder Rosa is going to come from her and take her belt.
All right, TIno. You got angry at me earlier for sitting there making those same statements. Back in the day, I sat there and said Thunder Rosa was the champion, Tony Storm was the interim champion. I'd
Yeah,
love to
yeah,
see them go.
yeah.
So you give me
Yeah.
credit. Okay.
I'm so.
Okay. Sure.
Do you want a cookie too?
And I
Good, Rob.
oh no. No,
Give
what
me,
I
give me credit.
want.
Give me credit.
No, what I want is I want Thunder Rosa to get the championship back before Mercedes Moné actually makes the big boss money moment and sits and puts herself in a position to immediately go after a world title. In fact, I would almost appreciate more if Mercedes Moné went after the TBS title that Julia Hart has, take that, and then go after the other belt. I know that we want to forward, so go ahead.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and you don't have to agree with me, match of the night: Will Ospreay and Takeshita.
Who's not going to say that? Sting.
Well,
Sting's not going to say that.
according to Police Report, this is the match of the year candidate.
Of course,
would you agree with that?
I would, but okay. I'm going to be real. There was that move that he kept doing where he kept trying to put Takeshita on his shoulder, and Takeshita kept like getting out of it, and it was like 5 times, right? And I said to you while we were sitting there, I was like, this match is probably going on 10 minutes longer, right? And it went on like 10 minutes longer. The thing that I didn't like about it was that I felt like the match was absolutely incredible, but I felt like it was too long. I literally was like, what? When is and I hate that, and here's why. Okay, I'm gonna admit I hate that I felt that way, because when it finally ended, I was like, holy shit. But at the same time,
But I think we always talk about too how matches are rushed. See, this match wasn't rushed. It had time to breathe and had time to tell the story. You know what I mean? So it was, yes, it seemed longer because we're used to high spot. You know, they actually had psychology in this match. And they had a high spot where I legitimately thought that he broke his back when he did that move off the turnbuckle. And I didn't hear him say, but you heard Osprey say, "My back." So I'm like, and I looked at you. I'm like, was that fucking? I asked you, was that work or was that shoot?
And then they showed it on video where you saw the purple of his back. No, I totally agree. There were moments Kesta looked legitimately knocked out, which was crazy. Like, sorry, we just lost you for a second. There was the moment where Kesta looked like he was knocked out, blew me away. And the referee had to do the right thing, which was keep Osprey away from him, do all that. And then shortly after, we had that moment where Takeshita dropped him on his fucking head, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like is Osprey's career just going to be one match, like in AEW? Like, what the fuck? Now, what I will say is this: as a professional wrestler, now, granted, we know that I am a WWE fan above all. I always am. I always will be. It's probably never going to change unless we have another moment where something has to create that, right? But I still like love amazing wrestling matches. Now, I'm the same way with video games. I played, and here's how I'll explain it. I played the entire Metal Gear series, right? And in Metal Gear Solid 4, they had this scene where I had to sit there and hit a button press, like 2 different buttons, like it felt like it was 15 minutes. By the time I got done it, I was like, I don't even want to finish the game anymore. And I did, but it made me sit there, and the entire time I was like, I just don't care about finishing at this point. That's how I felt about the end of the match, because when I realized that Don Callis wasn't going to get involved, and it wasn't going to be something where we were going to have interference and we were going to have all this craziness, I was like, this match went 10 minutes too long. And this is one of those spots where, like, you don't want to take 10 minutes away, but there was easily 10 minutes in that match that could be taken away if you're an editor of a movie or anything else, and you're like, we could cut here to here, and the match is exactly the same. And that's a down point to Tony Khan as the booker. At the same time, fucking phenomenal. Okay?
All right.
So it's hard for me to just give it an A, because I'm like, it made me feel like it went 10 minutes too long. But that's because I'm an editor of other stuff. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So I'm sorry for saying that. That's how I felt.
Semi-main, the AEW World Championship, Swerve, Joe, and Hangman. What'd you think about it? I'm let you do.
Did you hear about the commentary? Okay, so I want to point out that the way the match ended, because you and I were there and we couldn't hear commentary, is that commentary stated that Hangman tapped out to prevent Swerve from winning the title.
Oh.
Which, to me, makes me think we saw a better version of that match than what got
They saw on
broadcast.
TV. Okay.
Because I feel watching what looked like Hangman passing out was better than hearing that Hangman actually went just so that Swerve could not win the title.
And I like the way that
Now that you heard,
I think that Swerve is on his way to a face turn because Nana tried to give him the crown to use, and Swerve wouldn't do it. Now the old Swerve, the heel Swerve, would have done it. So I think
I think
we're starting to see.
I think we got the double turn in this match, and Joe's still sitting
Yes,
there as a tweener. I think we got
yeah,
all
Hangman
that.
Because Heyman killed those referees and he started beating the shit out of everybody with those chairs. So yeah, we got a double turn.
And the way that the crowd was cheering Swerve to begin with, I mean, everybody, even that douchebag in front of us, was sitting there doing the Swerve dance.
The douchebag in front of us. You did not like that. What did I don't even know what he said. I don't even know what started it. I know all of a sudden he just pulled his chair up. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'll tell you exactly what started it. Fact that dude sat there. I was sitting in our seats, right? Row 2, seats 1 and 2. We're sitting in our seats. He's sitting in front of us. And you're sitting there going, we don't got no leg room. And I'm like, okay. And this guy in front there and like see him, and he jimmies the whole seat structure and moves it up. Moves it up like 3 inches. All of a sudden, you and I have leg room.
I still don't have a lot of leg room. I think
that's because it was my seat. My seat. If he had done it for the entire row, it would have been all seats. But he did it for my seat. I look at him and I go, oh man, you could actually like move that row up a little bit, like so that all of us have some leg room. And he doesn't even turn fully around. He turns sideways like this. And he goes, no. And he turns back and immediately goes, and shoves the seat fully back into my knee. And this is after you were already talking about your knee hurting based on how this whole thing was. And then
if he'd have jammed me, if he'd have jammed me in my knee, we'd have fucking had they'd been rumble up in the damn stands.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, this wish motherfucking like Kevin Owens bullshit motherfucker sitting there with his half beard and trying to look like a looking guy, like his girlfriend or wife sitting there trying to keep him calm, rubbing his head the whole fucking pay-per-view. Like if he had turned around and said, you want to do something about it? I almost like think I'd have been like, you know what? I haven't had leg room all fucking night. Let's fucking do something. Like I'll throw you over the fucking railing right now. I don't give a fuck. But
you almost fell over the railing at the end of the night.
I did, but that's because like I stood up, I turned, let 2 people out, and then as I went to, I was like, oh shit. Like and there was like I literally tried to step back and there was no step back. But I caught myself, so I did not fall or anything. But that dude didn't start becoming nicer throughout the entire night and actually like alleviating some of the pressure by leaning forward on his chair until I sat there during the Moxley match when the 2 people walked down and I said, hey, yo, people paid for these seats and you just walked down here. And they were, and the one dude was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And it's like, bullshit, you didn't know. Like everybody fucking knows. Like you bought your seat. That's where you get to stand. You don't get to walk all the way down here.
And then the guy was nice.
Well, then I noticed he started like chiming in with certain things. And then there was another time where like that group in the next group of people started like coming out and they were all like waiting in the middle of the thing. And he was like, "Hey guys, could you like," and he started saying that. And I was like, "Oh, good. I don't have to say it now because whatever." But yeah, I still would not have bought the guy a drink at a bar if that's what you're asking. So okay, next up.
Last match. So I know you said you're something you wanted to say about the match, or was it the commentary from the World Championship match?
Oh God, I don't remember. Just go ahead.
So it was cool. They did the whole. I like the way they did the whole Sting sitting in the movie theater and they're showing all the passing. That was cool. That was good. That almost made me. I'm sitting there like I've been hanging around Rob too long because I even almost had me tearing up a little bit because it was cool just to see all that stuff, right? And then to see, the the Sting music, the man called Sting, and his first son came out with the color, with the all the colors and the blonde hair, and then the second son
All
came
right,
out as a Wolfpack Sting.
all right. Can I stop you for just a second?
Yeah,
Is that I think it's bullshit that the WWE would not allow them to use all that footage. Like like Tony Khan was able to put together a pretty good package. Don't get me wrong, but him looking at Hogan and going like this, him sitting there like becoming part of the Wolf Pack, like, and what made it even weirder was TNA didn't give any of the footage, and that shocked the shit out of me
I didn't know
because
they wouldn't.
like I was the what was cool was they were able to get New Japan footage, they were able to get CML footage, CMLL footage, whatever. But I was very disappointed in some of that, like the fact that they could not get other footage.
Mm.
So go ahead, continue. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that
Oh no,
like WWE had an opportunity to
I didn't know that.
look good to the crowds and they didn't allow it.
Oh, and then the Sons came out, as the different eras of him, and then he came out, which I didn't realize that he came out to a Metallica song. When did he come out to Metallica?
Seek and Destroy?
Yeah, when did he come out to Seek and Destroy?
A couple
I don't
times.
remember. Okay,
But it was his most famous entrance.
okay.
And when it came out to Seek and Destroy, it was like, oh shit. Like you saw everybody sitting there, like for the most part, sitting there singing that song.
Well, the dude in front of us he was like, "Ah." I'm like, oh damn. So, and then the Young Bucks came out, and you were like, are they wearing Ric Flair robes? That made me laugh. I'm like,
Well,
yeah,
they
they
came
are.
first day.
Yeah. I forgot when they came out. Yeah, and then they announced, and then that's when so Flair came out first, and then Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. That was a surprise. That was a surprise. So that was cool to see him. Um, and when they said it's a tornado match, it was a tornado match. Sting did way He took way too many bumps for me again, man. But not the one like Darby did.
No, hold on. Hold on. The two fake Stings were his sons. We know that.
Yes.
The one was literally dressed in his Great American Bash 1989 outfit that he went to the 45-minute Broadway with Ric Flair. Okay? He had the flat top. He had the look. He looked like fucking Sting, dude. Like, it was the most impressive visual in terms of pro wrestling. Like, okay,
His
the
his other son, he was too skinny, I think, for that.
well, he also only had a red face. He never had any of the black
Yeah.
painting. But regardless, the one in the red decided to do off the one ramp on the guards, like the whole thing. He sat there, did a Michinoku driver off of it through a table, which was crazy. Sting had a fucking power bomb off the other ramp that he got put through. Then they started coming back down to the ring, and you see Darby sitting there running like Darby looked like something out of Tron. It was like pew 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 pew, and then all of a sudden, Darby goes out, grabs this like fucking massive ladder, and what did I say to you? I said, "Oh shit, they got 2 more referees coming down. They're gonna hold the ladder for him."
Didn't have to, the way he had it stabilized in the ropes.
They did not actually have to come down and do that, but what did they have to do? Because Darby sat there and did a swanton off of the ladder.
And one of the Bucks moved the other Bucks out the way for him to hit that sugar glass. Now,
Through glass. And we can say sugar glass, we can say whatever the fuck we want. Here's the thing. That spot on his back, up near the top part of his back, was because he hit the chair. The other side of his back was splintered up because of the sugar glass. What I don't know, Tino, and what nobody is talking about is why he had the Flex Seal fucking like dude from the commercials sitting there saying we can keep all of Darby's insides on the inside of him with that black tape that he had around him, because that motherfucker must have had something coming out on the side or something else, because they literally had some sort of weird wrap around him that nobody is talking about right now.
It's probably compression to try to stop that bleeding he was bleeding, because it was, I think that it was funny, but it wasn't when he was like, when they got done at the very end of the night, he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to the hospital now." It stinks like, text me how many stitches you get.
Well, it wasn't even that. Let's get to the end of the match.
Yeah.
The end of the match, you had Sting, because Tino and I are sitting there going, where the fuck is Darby? Darby's been out for 15 minutes. Like, out. Gone. We don't know where he is.
But he was laying on the floor.
He's still laying on the floor. And finally, you see some referee go with a thumbs up. And I'm like, okay, Darby's good. But and by the way, Darby now has actually said that what got asked of him was, "Dude, you got dropped on your head. Are you okay?" And he goes, "Fuck yeah, I can finish this." He's bleeding out his back like someone cut off his angel's wings. He's got blood just pouring everywhere, and he's like,
"I ain't dead.
Yeah, fuck it. I ain't dead. Do this."
But Sting hooking up. I mean, how many fucking Meltzer drivers and EVP? How many times he get kicked in the head? Got up.
So we I want to say it was 3 EVP triggers. It was a Meltzer driver.
He took a super kick party.
Off through glass. It was a power bomb off of a ladder. It was 2 times through tables, including one off the ramp. What now?
The super kick party. He took a couple of those. He got a double super kick
party. Yeah. So 1 super kick party, but the fact that like every time they did it to him, it became less of a pin. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Got up, Darby helped him out. Ric Flair helped him out. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat took the worst super kick I've ever seen. Like, I love Ricky, but he took the worst super kick I've ever seen. I was waiting for them to go out and give Magnum TA and his like stand-up thing one, but like I guess not. Match ends, Sting on top. I was shocked.
Yeah, because I called it. Because you thought that Sting would lose. I'm like, I don't think. I said, A, it's Sting's last match. B, they left him and Darby bloody, and they attacked his sons. If they hadn't attacked his sons, I might have agreed with you.
Now, interestingly, after the match, Darby sat there and said, "We have about 3 minutes left. I'm bleeding out, so I'm going to give you the microphone." Hand Sting the microphone. Sting sits there. Thanks everybody. Thanks all of the Greensboro fans. Because again, 1989, Sting was in Greensboro, North Carolina, and that was what made him. And Tino, I got to tell you, man, like I didn't really get choked up like I have for some of the pro. But when he sat there and said, "Greensboro, you are why I did this. You are like what's important here." That's when I started getting choked up. And specifically when he said, "My son wore the same outfit, like the exact same outfit that I wore that night." And I was sitting there telling you, I was like, this son of a bitch looks just like him. Like, how did this guy not get into pro wrestling? You know what I mean? Like, it blew me away. So, the whole presentation, the one thing I want to say about it.
My knee was, I got stressed my knee. I'm listening.
It's all right. The one thing I want to say about the presentation is that I don't think that TNA would have ever handled it the same way. I don't think WCW would have ever handled it the same way. And I don't think, even with Triple H in charge of WWE, I don't think it would have ever been handled the same way. So while I give a lot of flack and I call out Tony Khan for bad booking quite a bit, his use of Sting's children and having them come out looking like Sting and Sting being a part of that was more than I ever expected from that possibility. Like it blew me away. It literally made me think they didn't care about the wrestling fan. They cared about what was best for Sting.
Yes.
And I loved that. And I think that the WWE is in a better spot to do more of that. But when you have competition that is willing to do that, it means that there's more opportunity for that kind of true burning out the candle moment to happen. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's how I feel about that. What do you have to say? I know that we've gone long. I'm sorry.
That's all. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. I wanted to hit those points. Yeah.
All right. So nothing else you wanted to say about Sting's final match or anything else? Because you obviously were a WCW guy.
No, I thought there was a like you said. I think Tony Khan did an awesome, excellent job on the presentation and the way he presented it. Yeah, I had I was impressed. It was a great match. It was a great night. I like the way that everybody at the end of the night came and they stood on the ramp. That show of respect. That was cool too.
That's where I really up because like I was never a big WCW guy. I was never an NWA guy. So like when I saw all the wrestlers come out, that's when I actually started getting that feeling of, oh wow, like this wasn't just important, but it was like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the sad thing is like I watched like the Shawn Michaels retirement on Monday Night Raw, and my mom literally asked me like, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, "Because he's done." And she's like, "It's fake." and see, if I had shown her this Sting match, I'd be like, I'm crying because it's done, because he's done, and she'd be like, he needs to be done because like that was fucking crazy, you know, like Sting went out. There's no way that WWE or even WCW would have ever had him do all that crazy shit that he did last night. And he did all of it. Ricky Steamboat took a double super kick to the face and fell off the ramp. Like, yeah. I'm sitting there like, I know you want to get off of here, so I want to finish up, but crazy. You know? Like, the fact that those people wanted to take super kicks to make sure that Sting could actually have time to recover and make the match what it needed to be is just, like, shows the amount of respect that they not only have for the industry, have what they have for him, but also, I hate to say it, but what they have for the Young Bucks. So, I know. Last thing I'll say, real quick, because it deals with this, is that obviously Tony Khan announced today that they are relinquishing the tag team titles and starting a tournament. At the pay-per-view, apparently the commentary team sat there and said that Moxley and Claudio coming together and actually winning this match against one of the best tag teams solidifies them as a tag team. So I would kind of put them as a favorite in the tournament. And the last thing that I'll say about it is if I were really wanting to be a heel EVP like the Young Cucks, what I would want to do here is I'd want to sit there and set up a tournament where the Young Cucks have a first round bye.
I can see that.
Make sense?
Yep.
That's all I got there. So, TIno, I got nothing else.
Me neither.
You know, our outro's 1 minute and 3 seconds. We don't have to really go through any of it anymore. If you want to go ahead and just, you know, give any like things to it to, I don't know, Adam's house or anything you can.
That's all. Yes, all. I want to say thank you to Adam's House Cat for the wrestling song. You can get it on iTunes for 99 cents 99. We want to say thank you guys again for hanging out with us. We're here each and every week right here on the Potsy and TIno show. We look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, deuces. Ooses.
See ya, everybody.
Everybody wants to be the nature boy, but I am the man of the hour, the tower of power, too sweet to be sour, make you scream, oh! Like Jared Flower, there have been many imitations, but only one, nature boy. I am the greatest thing going today, whether you like it or not, you better learn to love it, because whether you like it or not, I
What happened?